Hello, welcome back. Today we are back playing Genshin Impact, and here's what happened last time.
Fontaine has declared the incident a small-scale riot.
Huh?
A riot? Paimon thinks Furina's probably taken the opportunity to slip away to Poisson. Furina, you were crying just now, weren't you?
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there!
Oh no.
Quick, after her!
No!
I'm so tired.
We're running out of time. We can't just go back to square one like this. I have to get more information out of her. But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still confide in someone. Just share it with me. I'm what you call a witness.
Yes. I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars yet.
Come on, girly. Say something. Anything. Just what I thought we were getting somewhere. Oh.
Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
Who will be my opponent in this trial?
Oh, it's me. Thank you, Your Honor.
That so. Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tevat, my accuser and fated opponent.
It's okay though, as long as we can defeat Furina in court, we'll still have a chance to figure everything out.
Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial begins, just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy. Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity to incite
she looks
insurrection
so sad in
you.
this picture.
People's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was all we needed to turn smoldering anger into a flame. When something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself. So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontaine.
And he's like, I am especially proud of this one. Listen
That's
up,
right.
folks.
That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Aranias. Its cargo, of course, was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Furina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off
So
such
those
an
like
extraordinary
earthquakes were being
performance.
probably picked up and put back down.
You're
Interesting.
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water.
I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready for a fight. Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without a hitch. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct.
Well,
I'm like
Cloran,
still sick
I
over
must
this.
commend
I
you
feel
for
so
your
mean for
courage.
deceiving her.
Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would accept a duel with an Archon without flinching.
Thank you.
As for you, traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me in Poisson. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage. Oh?
My mission was to give you one last chance. We hoped you'd share your secret with us before the magic box arrived onto the stage.
Is that so? It matters not. What's done is done. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Only thing we can do now is to judge the Hydro Archon. I can't help but be a little bothered by that conversation earlier. What did Furina want to say to me right before we arrived on the stage?
Madam Prosecutor,
Oh,
please
I'm
allow
so
me to
curious
pass this along.
too.
This is
What's
a
up, dude?
document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her, it should speed up the proceedings.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did with us before? Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we stepped
Oh,
on Fontaine. So in other
lovely.
words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our journey as
Love
evidence
that.
for an argument.
What a practical
Let's
gift.
quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
Love that. Thank you, Paimon. I love that. That was so helpful. Thank you, Charlotte.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh,
Here
come
goes
on,
nothing.
Rivulette. There's no need to repeat all the unimportant legalese. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. Of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However, you will need more than that to convict me of a crime.
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud, who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Oh, wow.
Wait, what was that? Lady Furina's a fraud?
Huge. Huge if true.
She's not our Archon at all?
Charge accepted. Lady Furina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Furina.
Why is she pausing?
I plead not guilty.
Why is she
How can I be
pausing?
guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Furina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Even though Lady Furina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Sure, Lady Furina can be super irresponsible. but what grounds
She's like,
does
she
that
kind of sucks as an
prosecutor have to
Archon, but
make
I
such a
mean...
huge claim.
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. There would be no fooling their memory. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to a charge that will never be upheld? If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the god of justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation.
You have to not only refute Furina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the people.
People only see you as their Archon because that's their long-held
Well,
belief.
I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then let me ask. If you believe I'm not the Archon, then what manner of being do you think I am? And if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live for over 500 years?
Great question. I would love to know your secret. What do we know to be special about Furina exactly? The knave does not think that you are an Archon.
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And second of all, even if that wasn't the case, there could be other ways to extend your life.
Such as a curse, which Dane would know all about.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
Doesn't matter who gave us the information, what matters is the veracity of the claim.
Curse. I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh, Neverlet?
So Furina, instead of an Archon, could you just be a cursed human?
Furina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart just by looking at them.
Ooh, look at that Oratrice move.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said, how does that prove that I am merely a human? Besides, Everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house, or consider the indemnitium that is used in every aspect of life.
Wait, that one trial proved the opposite. Furina actually has no control over the Oratrice at all.
You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without any proof?
The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to comprehend. There is no need to provide an explanation.
Lady Furina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all else.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't they?
Oh, Paimon's angry.
The real Hydro Archon. Well, now you're really losing me. It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty verdict that day. But the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. And it has been operating independently ever since it was first created.
By who? Who created it?
You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god at all.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses.
Miss Furina, could you give us a brief demonstration of your power as an Archon?
Power as an Archon? There are many ordinary citizens in the audience. How can I just carelessly demonstrate the formidable power of an Archon?
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
Ooh, get her, Nouvellette.
You don't need to go that far.
Surely an Archon can at least match the capabilities of a human with a vision.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Oh my gosh, Paimon, get her!
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and I've converted the people's faith in justice into Indemnitium. Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy for their daily lives. Have you ever seen a more magnanimous god?
Press X to doubt.
That a huge stretch.
Yes, yes it
no matter how
is.
generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even still be called a god?
Yeah, get her, retorting audience member.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't stare at me as if I was a liar. I'm still the same Furina you knew, right? The one that you loved. Shouldn't you want to believe in me? Please?
Yikes.
You've got to believe me.
Oh no.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then who is? If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up
I didn't think she would
claim to be
actually ask
such,
about who the other Hydro Archon
grounds
is.
have you to say that I'm not actually the real deal?
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we refute her now? Seems like she really doesn't want to give up.
If we can't prove that she isn't the Archon, we can try to prove that she is just a human, and if she's only human...
It has been established.
Ah, there we go. I just picked the wrong ones about dissolving in the primordial sea.
And that means...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all suspicions of you being the latter.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. I swear this really will be the last time that I'll speak out of turn. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, taking many lives, including those of some of my closest friends. So, Miss Furina, would you dare to touch some of this seawater If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching the seawater would have no effect on you. All it should do is strengthen your case. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Is she going? Furina?
Lady Furina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings, you possess the right to decline participation.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same as a confession of guilt.
Oh no.
What's going on? Is she really planning to... that's not what we thought she would...
Oh no.
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Furina, you may...
Hey!
She actually...
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! My hand is still here!
She seems very surprised by this.
Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm nothing like a normal human who would fall apart as soon as they touch this water! Really? Was this not the most obvious thing in the world?
Miss Siegewin? If you're present, Miss Siegewin, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
Siegewin? Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds.
Oh.
Let me see.
Siegewin.
That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court, Miss Siegewin.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Furina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. These indicate that she was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to primordial seawater of a similar concentration.
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady Furina, you may return to the defendant's stand.
Oh wait, what did she just say? I didn't get dissolved! Shouldn't that be enough to prove my innocence?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around Poisson. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. After all, on the off chance that something entirely unexpected might occur, we don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
What's really going on here? Furina can't have not known the consequences of touching that water as a human. This is too unlike how she usually acts, unless it's actually more important for her to keep up her facade than to save her own life. But hadn't she given up on everything a long time ago?
Listen to me, everyone! Please don't give me such cold and disdainful looks! What happened just now didn't prove a single thing! Think about it! How can you conclusively prove that an Archon can't also be affected by the primordial seawater? Also, if I was really just a human, why would I dare to just put my hand in that kind of water?
Oh no. Oh, this audience is so harsh.
Anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Archon!
Oh. My heart is breaking right now for her. I don't know what secret she is hiding, but I believe her.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against her now.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for Furina to win.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway her. She's too stacked against her now.
Furina?
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Furina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human, who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens. Furina is guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges.
Oh. That hurt. Everyone just turning their backs on her.
According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale, Furina is...
Well, what's wrong?
No way. Did it just declare her innocent?
No. The Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus. The Hydro Archon, guilty.
What?
To be punished via the death sentence.
What?
The death sentence?
That's actually one of the available sentences?
Furina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things so she'd tell us the truth.
This outcome is indeed quite strange.
This cannot be real.
According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as its recommendations for criminal sentences, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah, even Vacher wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
What's more strange is, instead of Furina, the Oratrice rendered the judgment on the Hydro Archon. Yeah, that was weird.
Indeed. Not only is Furina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Furina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Oratrice, what does this mean?